You know what I mean? And they're like, it's like
I
this.
don't know. That's crazy.
It's hard to do that on your own.
I'm so curious. Does Ellie think AI art is good?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh gosh.
Old has benefits. That's not real art.
Times change.
I hate it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Light Movement Show. We're back at it again, finally. We're super excited to be talking about a super interesting topic today, which is AI and art. So the main question that we're covering is the future of art powered by AI? Probably not, but we're gonna be talking about it. So first things first, I would love to first things first, thank you, Ellie, for proposing this awesome concept and super good topic for the show. I'm really excited about it. And I think it's very timely. It's like a good time for think about it because it's almost like NFTs where we're sort of at the beginning of it and people are beginning to talk about it a lot. I know people have been doing it since like 2017, 2018, but
That was like
it's sort of
2017.
yeah, like 5 years ago. Now we're just getting on it, but I feel like it's starting to sort of hit mainstream. So what is both of your initial reactions before we go into it of just like the concept of AI and art and AI creating art? You probably have less of
I'm not that surprised, but I don't think anything's going to replace original art.
Mm-hmm.
So for the future of it, I don't know what the future of it will be like, but I think it could be an interesting idea to get like a start of a painting to see, like, I don't know if there's a way to create like a source or a inspiration like from the AI paintings. I don't know.
Well, there's artists that are collaborating with AI to create paintings.
Yeah, but it's all digital for
Well,
me.
but I think that there's plenty of ways to create art with AI and make it like not digital, like actually physically paint a painting using AI as assistance. And in the future, well, now I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
Yeah, and you haven't asked my opinion.
yeah. So what's your opinion?
Okay, my opinion is that maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm stuck in the mud, maybe I am not forward thinking enough. I reserve the right to change my mind in the future, but my initial reaction right now is that anything that has AI in it, I hate it. It blocks all my bank cards when I just basically, traveled 3 hours from my house to buy groceries. I don't like AI. I think AI to me is...
You have to travel 3 hours to buy groceries?
No, but you know what I mean. Like you go somewhere out of your algorithm.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, I don't like being boxed in and reduced down to some kind of algorithm. I don't like anything being
Or just
that.
data points, essentially.
Yeah, I just kind of reject the entire concept. Now, there might be cases that I don't know about that, it becomes like life-giving, in terms of who knows, I don't know what that could be, but maybe there's a time and a place for it. But in terms of creativity, art, or really anything AI, I just don't like it. Maybe it's because I watched all these Star Wars movies growing up or, in like Stormtroopers. I just think like...
But what about the droid R2D2 and there were some good androids, and then there were obviously some bad ones. So
I don't know. I would rather forego the good androids to, withstand. It's like there's enough evil in the world as it is. Do we really need computerized evil? I just don't think so.
That's a great question.
Yeah, and the people in charge are...
It just makes evil the ability to expand beyond human will.
Like your will isn't
because like
important.
An evil person who has evil intent can now grow their evil intent through
exponentially
through computers. And I've even heard, I don't comprehend it, it like goes over my head completely. There are evil people today that are planting into future algorithms these like destructive forces that are like 5-10 years out to crash this thing. And it's like, you know what I mean? And they're like, it's like
I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like this living thing that once it's set in motion, even the creator of it it's out of their control. And so
sort of like Bitcoin, like how the creator of Bitcoin, but
it's like Terminator.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is the creator of Bitcoin made it so that there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin that can be created, which I think is a good thing. That's like sort of a different, I
think it's hubris. I think it's man, challenging God. Taking creativity or creating to a level that's out of man's ability to morally
Govern it.
self-govern. So I don't know, like I initially feel passionately against, but I could change my mind, I suppose.
Yeah, you came out way more passionately against it than I expected, honestly, because you proposed the idea. So I was like, I'm so curious. Does Ellie think AI art is good? So
I don't.
That answers that question.
I don't. And it
Well, how can
I
people
have a hard
connect
time
to it?
Well, and everything I live for, I love, that makes me breathe, everything to the core of my being is the opposite of AI. Like to reduce the soul of man, to reduce that magic between the muse and man, what is God and the creative spirit outside of man, into something like an algorithm. I don't think you can contain that. I think it's almost like saying we can predict what God would say, or dreams he would give us, or anything, or revelations that he'll unleash based on an algorithm, because we've tracked the behavior of God over time, and these are the nodes on it, and so this is how it's predicted. Because I think creativity is extremely spiritual and deep. So if you're worried that AI is going to take over the art world, don't be afraid of that. Because what art is really about is the artist's voice. And if you want to learn how to find your voice as an artist, I highly recommend that you check out the Mastery Program. In the Mastery Program, we teach you essential skills in creating art, and we also teach you how to find your unique style with your voice, how to identify your personal aesthetic, and also how to market and sell your artwork. It's the ultimate course on how to become a professional artist. So go check it out now.
My question then is, where do we draw the line between like utility of electronic devices, of technology? What is okay for us to use and what is not okay for us to use? Is it when it becomes
if you make sources on
exactly, like
Photoshop,
what's the, like, where do you draw the line between sources on Photoshop, using sources from Pinterest or whatever, and then combining them together?
I think it's the question
art
of the age. Like I can use a photo app or a computer to generate something, some intent that I have, and if that's originating in my heart and my desire and this need for this creativity to go in this direction, and the computer helps me get there, and then I have this judgment where I go, yeah, I like that, or I go, ooh, no, I don't like that, and so I think the collaboration part is somewhat interesting, because you still have that hand-hewn, it's still relying on the creativity or the muse or that process.
But even taking a source that you created digitally and bringing it to canvas and painting it, it's totally changed.
Yeah.
You're not going to, you still have another level of discernment where you're going to change things and be in the moment and just add your own brush strokes, and especially I do a lot of double exposure, and when you're blending two images, it's hard to do that on your own. I'm reliant on using those apps to actually blend them.
Well, what if you push yourself to not use them?
Well, I did in the past, and it's just so much easier to not do that.
But that's
how I
the
started.
thing. Like, we live in the age of convenience, right? And that's why AI art has been birthed, because we're looking for an even more convenient way for entertainment. Essentially, I mean, that's what, not us, but like humanity.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's not the entire reason behind it, but
I just don't think anything will replace actual original art that an artist did. There's no way for the collector to connect to an AI painting. It's not interesting. How can you be connected to that?
But what if they don't even know, though? Because I've been looking at some of this art, and you wouldn't be able to tell if it was AI or if it was a human.
Yeah, did you see the one that won that big art contest?
Yeah.
And it was an AI painting, and the judges didn't know it.
Yeah, it's insane.
gosh.
It won an art contest.
That's
Well,
terrible.
and the question, to me, it opens up tons of questions, which might be further along in what you have planned. But the questions I have that are, what are the repercussions of this?
Yeah, that's one of the main questions.
What fruit is it going to bear? And can we live with that? The other question is, like legally and lawfully, what if you don't disclose, like there's a gallery dedicated to just AI. What if somebody buys a piece of fine art, and now there's even computers that can replicate an oil painting.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them
like
in
with
person.
robot arms.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's actually one thing that I was going to talk about too. But
And a human didn't actually paint it, but you have a oil painting where you can see the brush strokes and everything, and it's not a print. And so like the collector that buys that, if it's not fully disclosed to them, is that gallery legally, in trouble? So
I just think where the world is headed, it's really interesting. Like we've gotten so far in technology, but what people crave even now is not more of that. It's like they're coming back to their roots, and like everyone, I think we've talked about this in another podcast, can't remember, but we've talked about it a lot. Just I've noticed just in the past year, since COVID really, people want to have like their own farms, their own like really know how to do things themselves. And I think that's happening in the art world too, where collectors want to connect directly to the artists. They don't want, and that, how can an artist like
connect to, or how can a collector connect to an algorithm,
Yeah, but if there's galleries that are doing rip-offs or whatever, they're
well, I'm
selling
sure
fake
that there are
paintings or
going to be
AI.
some of those people, like it's not a question of whether or not there will be those people, because there
I just
will
don't
be those
think-
people out there probably.
I don't think it has longevity to it. I
I don't know, you guys, because like look at gaming. Okay, this might trigger people, but I'll just say it anyway. But
Trigger away.
for avid gamers that are like in full-blown addiction mode to it, what's happening in their body as they're going through all these adventures, and they're saving the damsel in distress, and they have their teammates, and they're
Dopamine spikes.
they're simulating the actual event, and their body doesn't know the difference. So it's the same as soldiers that go to war and then they come back sort of addicted to war because they're addicted to those chemicals in their, and then they have backlash from that because their body basically becomes dependent.
We were
on
literally
the
just
hormones.
talking about this last night. It's so crazy.
Really?
Not the war, but talking about people becoming addicted to these
After pain, there's
negativity,
dopamine,
essentially,
yeah.
because there's like this spike that happens when you go through a super negative event, and then you get out of it. You have like a huge dopamine rush because, and so you feel really good because you got out of this negative event.
So people that love like the cycle of drama.
Well, so people will tell other people about this negative thing that happened to them because then they get to relive the positivity that comes after it of getting out of it. And
I think I've done that.
it's like there's a line between good and bad with it, because it is good. I'm not saying to people out there watching this not to share the negative things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
But like, don't become addicted to that.
Right.
Because then you will just be setting yourself up for depression, essentially. That's what
Yeah.
it results in over time.
Right.
You can't end up finding that, like, it's essentially like you're getting high off of your own negativity.
Yeah.
And that's, you're
Well,
setting
I guess
yourself up
that's
for
what I'm
depression.
saying, is that becoming a culture, if we're not careful, where we are becoming transhuman and machines, because oxytocin levels, our dopamine levels, all of that,
Endorphins, yeah.
endorphins and everything is getting stimulated more and more by machines and less
Yeah.
and less by real life occurrences. And so that's what social media is doing. And it starts out small and sneaky. Oh, did I get a message? And we get these
And
little
then you post
doses.
a video, and then you want to go and see how many likes you got, and then
but
you go back.
imagine in the good old days when a letter came in the mail for you, it's like that's a natural cycle of these effects.
Well,
Delayed
and also,
gratification.
it's delayed gratification.
What if they
that trains
start
you. Yeah.
infusing in the AI art? They figure out, like, stage one is, oh, look, we can make a painting, we can create something that didn't exist before. Oh, look, we can even run acrylic paint through this machine and actually make a painting or an oil painting. Fine, but what's the next level? This isn't working, because real artists get emotional reactions from their clients. So what if we did this and they figure out.
We synced the Apple Watch,
Yeah.
and we
Well, no, they
programmed
figure
the
out-
painting to change according to the perspiration that's coming off of their skin, and which is signifying a certain level of dopamine in their brain. And so we're creating a painting that is specifically designed to their mood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I was thinking more simply,
Scary.
I know for a fact there's certain frequencies of color combinations that will incite emotion.
Yeah.
And how you tap into that is just, I think through experience and just by, creating enough art that when you see it as the artist, you react to it as you're creating it. So of course the audience will react to it because when you saw it on the palette, you're like, oh, that green next to that magenta. Oh, I got to put that on there. And so then the audience sees it. But what if the machines figure out these exact frequencies, and because they're machines and not humans, they can
do it perfectly,
essentially, and elicit specific responses in a certain order based on, how much is there. And then you have all these people that are just like staring at AI paintings, having a moment. It's like, I don't like it.
Having a moment. Oh my God.
It's a fake moment,
Yeah.
Just like fake love, fake. There's so many fake things.
Online,
Fake adventure. That's what gaming's all about. It's like if all the people that played video games for those addictive chemicals stopped, they might actually go and rescue women in real life. We need that. All the human trafficking, go rescue real women. That was my soapbox on gaming.
Wow. Yeah.
Where to go from here?
I know.
Okay,
Trigger alert.
I had a question that was, where could this go wrong?
There,
Well, I don't know. And maybe, it's like, well, everything's freaky these days. Like the whole metaverse, and people are buying fake real estate
Oh my gosh,
in
you combine
metaverse.
AI with the metaverse? That's super scary.
No,
because you could have
that's
an
what
AI.
that thing is about the future.
Yeah.
Is they're putting AI and metaverse to in the future attack us when we're in metaverse.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's like stay out of metaverse. Stay out of metaverse.
Yeah.
get out of the matrix.
And they're conditioning people for the metaverse through gaming because
and
all
through
they're going to
movies
do
too,
through
like
movies,
Ready Player
through
One.
movies, pornography, so many things. They're
Yeah.
they're just like starting out here, and so they shift everybody into the metaverse
Yeah.
because they're addicted.
I see that there's issues in the world, but I just think compared to like where it's going and where people actually are craving, it's not.
It's going to backfire.
It's not gonna work. Like
I hope
just,
so.
I mean, all the people I talk to, it's like no one likes the metaverse.
Nobody
like,
likes it except for the people who like it.
But I feel like it's a small number compared to the
Well,
rest of the
you'll
world.
hear a lot more about the people who like the metaverse than the people who don't, because
They're pushing it.
they're pushing it. So
Well, I think that it's like everything else going on these days. There's this threshing floor. It's the wheat and the tares. It's the what is it? The goats and the sheep, or like it's this division. It's a threshing floor. So I think that in the future we're going to see artists that are for these, that go in that direction. And it's almost like this beauty renaissance that's happening. There's a whole bunch of artists, we know, like most of our community is this way, we're this way, that have like reacted against that sort of weird, esoteric, anti-aesthetic, dark art for art's sake, 20th century crud. And they're for like a resurgence of beauty and like life and things that are meaningful and symbolic and that are positive messages. And it's like, I think the art world's going to become divided. And I can't imagine people that are for that beautiful spiritual, magic are going to go for AI and want to see their AI paintings.
Well, but so that's, that comes back to the question of where do we draw the line? Because I could imagine some of those people, they have this image in their mind and they're like, gosh, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to take this picture. I'll never be able to capture a lion in this exact lighting, but I can go into, Google Deep Dream or like any of these AI.
What's that?
That's one of the AI platforms.
Don't you see what's happening?
Yeah, but you can go in there and you can type in lion with dramatic lighting
Here's a crazy
with the
idea.
wind blowing its hair from left to right. And then you get a photorealistic image of that. But then the thing where it gets tricky is that person uses that image to create something beautiful and light giving for the light
That
movement.
I think's okay because they still painted it themselves,
Yeah.
and that's the most important part.
And
is
interpreted
that-
it.
Interpreted
But
it.
what about for the photographers then though? Because then it's like, that's like replacing the photographers
Well,
almost.
then they're replaced, so it didn't work. That's going too far. But what if you see this like this culture of 20th century art that's, you know, menstrual rags in the museum, right? And then you see a counterculture that is reacting to that. That's like, no, let's bring aesthetic back. Okay, and that's what we're a part of, and there's a whole movement for that.
It's a light
worldwide
movement.
Yeah. What if we're doing so much damage? And I don't just mean us. I mean us. The community, and people that maybe even aren't in this community but tap into this they're already doing it on their own in their own way. All the people that are bringing the aesthetic back. What if this AI thing is a counterculture to that because it's doing so much damage to darkness? What if the light movement is so effective, something dark has to go? We have to simulate, we have to suck people into this other way. We have to, because I don't know that it's artists that are sitting there going, you know, I don't want to paint anymore. I don't like painting. I just want to like
tell a computer to paint for me.
I'm just going to have a computer paint for me. Most artists do it because they love it. It's their passion.
Yeah, it's the process that they love,
not
even the outcome.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the people pushing this are artists.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
artists
think
will
so
revolt.
either.
I think
I
the
don't
people
think
that
so
are pushing this are some gallery that is looking for some kind of shtick.
It's like Google.
And
I mean, the people.
You don't have to pay a computer a percentage like you do an artist.
I think the people who are pushing this are like Google with Google DeepMind, and like
Metaverse.
the people. Well, yeah.
The Zuckerbergs of the planet.
It's big tech essentially is creating
Yeah.
these AI algorithms, and they want to train them to be as smart as possible so that they can simulate people, so that they can basically try to make as much money from us as possible. So they can create a digital avatar of us to try to predict exactly what we're gonna do, and then they'll be able to sell ads to us better.
Oh my
They'll
gosh,
be
it's
able
so
to
scary.
And
well,
art,
that's what they're
all
doing.
Arts,
Like they're
all
already
arts,
doing that.
All arts, food, culinary arts, music, drama, movies, storytelling, art, fine art, painting, sculptures. All of that is sort of human culture's rampart, or it's like where we stand to win the war. And so if they take that and turn it into AI and metaverse,
Yeah.
you can't win the war. I think that without overreact, just hold strong and continue to cultivate. That's why the small collector is key, because big tech can take over this thing. You know,
Yeah.
big art can take over lots of things, but big art will never be able to take over with the small collector. It's always grassroots. Grassroots will save the day every time.
Yeah, totally. It's like small businesses versus big businesses. You know, the government wants to try to thwart small businesses as much as possible.
That's
because
right.
it's so much easier to work with 5 businesses
right.
that generate 5 trillion versus 5 million businesses that generate 5 trillion.
That's right.
You know,
Another
and
small
collect taxes.
Look at what happened in
aspect
COVID.
Yeah.
I'm noticing is with the food, like I know this is like a different topic than art, but
Well,
No, it's
it's
not.
all art,
It all
yeah.
starts with art.
with
though.
our food, it used to be
They don't
like,
like the small farmer.
yeah, but it used to be huge companies. I mean, it is still today controlling all these brands.
Yeah.
But that's like the only brands you'd find in a grocery store. And now there's so many
So
small
many.
brands
Yeah.
and like organic stuff, and like there's so much to choose from. It's almost hard to grocery shop because there's so many brands.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, I think. It's
Totally.
it's
Yeah.
changing. It's like it's backfiring what they're trying to do, like these big companies with the food.
I don't know. I'm looking at the whole thing. So I don't feel like I'm a negative person, but I appreciate your positivity, and I totally agree with you, and I think you're right that all these things backfire, and in the end light wins. That's the key. It's not going to overtake us. If anything, it will invigorate the people who are steadfastly, wholeheartedly against this sort of takeover. And so I agree with you, because you see it in the food, you see it in music. You know, you had to 3 record labels trying to dominate the entire music industry. It backfired.
Yeah.
And now everybody, all the artists are independent. All the good artists anyway are independent, and that is who is being listened to. No, who listens to Cardi B? Or,
Well,
you know?
millions of people, but it's like,
No, that's what they tell you, but is it real?
I mean, they show you it on Spotify, so I don't know. I mean,
I mean, really? Those could be bots. Look at what happened with Twitter.
It's true.
You know, like
people-
so many people are following,
I mean,
blah, blah, blah. Well,
people
no, they're
I know
bots.
That's true.
in our
And
circle
that was proven. It
don't
was
listen
proven.
to her. So
And Twitter is in deep doo-doo now.
They could
because
just
of
be
it.
our circle. You know, nobody in our circle is going to listen to Cardi B. Like, that's for damn sure.
Okay,
If
you
I
guys,
have anything to do
anybody
with it.
watching this, if you're a fan of Cardi B, put in the comments.
Don't watch this. If you're a fan
Put
of
in
Cardi
the
B, don't
comments
watch
that
this.
you love Cardi B.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Watch this and hopefully you'll stop listening to her. Our media director brought up a great point and a great question while we were waiting to restart the cameras. And that was, you know, almost at every point in time, whenever a new technology is released, people initially view it as evil. So the question is this different from the past and other technologies? And also, is there any good that could come of this? Because I think like social media, total breeding ground for evil, but also it can be a breeding ground for good and for light. Like tons of positivity can come out of it.
Okay,
People
so
can
what
connect
would
from
be
it.
the positive of a phony painting made by a computer?
Okay, I'm talking about the technology, not the actual painting.
What would be
Like the capability of AI to generate images, because that's basically what this is, right? AI
Well, that we've
generating
already-
creativity.
I'm not
Like,
against that.
Okay, so I guess that wasn't clear for me. So that's good to. Could you elaborate on why you're not against AI
Yeah.
generating creativity?
Okay, so something computer generated really resonates with me, and then I put my spin and my touch on it as it's being created and painted, whether that's in color or the brushstroke that's there or the materials I'm using, the sort of unpredictability of how the ink flows, whatever. Like any way that happens in the creative process, I think that supersedes whatever phoniness or simulation that was there initially by the computer.
But you have to. I mean, a lot of that is it was fed initially by a human, though. So like all these computers, they would be nothing without the initial human interaction with it. So what about that? Like basically there's two different types of AI. I was reading about it. There's two different types of like AI networks that are creating AI neural networks that are creating these images. There's generative adversarial networks, and then there are where's the second one? Creative adversarial networks. So
adversarial.
I know adversarial. Isn't that interesting? Why would they
know.
use that as part of the name? Okay, so you got GAN and you got CAN. So GAN basically has an AI, and then they use machine learning to feed it a series of images. And once the computer has consumed enough images that are categorized by humans, like humans have to categorize it, and they have to feed it the images, then they can actually start to create their own based off of the human input afterwards. So basically that's like you feed this algorithm like a million oil paintings, and you say this painting is good, this painting is bad, this painting is good, this painting is bad, and you manually feed it a bunch of different information, and then based off of all that information that you feed it, then the AI is able to generate good paintings, or what it thinks should be good based off of what the humans told it is good, and bad paintings based off of what the humans told it is bad.
Interesting. So, like, to me, the creative process is a human interacting with the divine. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you have creativity. I don't believe a human, and this is just my opinion, a human on their own, without any divine help, can actually create, meaning it never existed before. It's now something brand new that never existed. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that's possible.
Regardless of
apart
whether
from
or not
God.
you believe in that.
Yeah.
Like for those people who don't believe, like
That's right.
even people who don't believe in God can create good stuff, and they're creating good stuff with God.
That's
but they
right,
just don't
but they
even
just
know
don't
it.
acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah,
I just
don't
wanted to
think,
clarify that.
Yeah, I don't think you have to believe in God.
Yeah.
You can, copy something. You can forge something. You can imitate, but you can't create brand new. Mm-hmm. I think that power alone is God. So that's my opinion. So a human co-creates with God. Now, what you're talking about is a machine co-creates with humans.
Yeah.
So there are some people out there who believe humans are God. And so that could, on that level, for those people work. But to me, that's hubris. That is precisely what I think is over the top, or where it goes awry, is we thinking we can replace God and we can partner with a machine. You've just dumbed everything down.
Yeah.
It was God human, now it's human
It's like you're
machine.
trying to cut out God as the middleman, almost.
Yeah,
And
and
just you directly to the creation
and I
with the
suppose
machine. Or
what-
replace God, I guess, with the machine.
Right, and I suppose, or replace God with a human.
Yeah, that's true.
And so some would argue, well, couldn't God still work with the machine? Yeah, but I don't think God wants to work with, because God is relational.
Yeah, God would have just made machine instead of man.
That's right. But God is relational. And so I think it really, the basis of all of this comes down to your core spiritual sense and beliefs. And as far as where I stand, I can't see any good that could come out of this except for rallying and invigorating a base of artists who sort of, are energized to kind of revolt and become even more creative. And like, I could see it as a good, healthy competitor.
Yeah, so that brings me
foe.
to another whole topic and discussion I wanted to get into regarding this is I feel like whether we like it or not, it's probably here to stay, at least for a little bit, until we're able to squash it with the light movement. But for better or for worse, AI art is probably going to be increasingly a part of people's lives.
Well, what is I'm curious to see what you think about that. Like, where do you see God or spirituality or God or the creator or any kind of divine source? Because that means different things to different people. But whatever the divine source is, in terms of this relationship that he described between the computer and the human.
Like when you're collaborating with.
No, not collaborating. How AI paintings are created.
Oh, like the two different ones.
The process, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't even describe the other process.
Okay,
So,
but the first process
for the
is
first
based off
process.
of humans feeding it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like.
Do you see it as harmless, or because that's sort of
Yeah.
what your demeanor suggests?
I guess because it sounds like the humans are in charge of it and they created it. and
Well, in
it's
the beginning they are, but then over time, once the AI learns enough of what it thinks is good and bad, it will start creating images that not even man could make on their own, and win art prizes like this one already did.
I honestly don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it.
And I don't know, that's a bold statement that not even man could create, because I think a person could create that. It just so happened with that specific art contest that someone didn't create that. It was an AI. But I feel like I've seen more impressive paintings. I'm looking at it right now.
I think
than-
maybe the whole thing
Smack
will
dab
just.
in the middle. What kind
know.
of composition is that?
I think the whole movement of it or progression, whatever, is just going to create more competition for artists and
And
probably
up their game.
and probably help. I don't know, collectors might doubt well, did you actually paint that? Maybe talent isn't going to be so.
Well, it'll increase the need to document, I think. You'll be wanting to document your process more. There'll be more, I think it'll actually, sounds ironic, but it could, because it's also technology, but it could drive an adoption of NFTs further, because with NFTs you have smart contracts, you have basically guarantees that it was created by this person and it is a human being that created it, and there's a certificate of authenticity and it's undeniable, it's immutable, nobody can change it, versus this was an AI generated. I mean, and that doesn't mean that there's not going to be more NFTs out there that are AI generated. My opinion is that it's only going to increase the value of hand-hewn paintings, paintings that were created by humans. Let's face it, it might take over the Target art, the Walmart art, the IKEA art. If Target can cut out a middleman and get an image and get that image for $3 versus $7 because they didn't have to pay licensing fees to a person,
Right.
then they're probably going to do that because that's just
That's a
in
good
their
point.
best interest as
It
a
could
big
take over the decorative
corporation.
art market.
Yeah, but with the individual, from the actual person, person to person, collector, direct to consumer, you know, the D2C, it's never going to replace that, I don't think, because I mean, there'll be a market in there. There will be some people who are like into AI art and they want to buy that because a robot painted it and they think that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
But the average person is going to be like, whoa, that's scary. I'm going to stick with humans.
Well, you know, this is a sweet, safe thought, is with all the innovations that have happened over the years, to this day, an oil painting made by an artist, one artist, from hand, is still king. And it's lived for, you know, fine art has lived for a long time.
Yeah.
Through all the ups and downs, innovations, and
Thousands
whatever.
of years.
Thousands of years. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Not thousands,
but like
yeah.
1,500 years.
When did they start making oil paint again?
Well,
Like
okay,
in,
and
like,
not
the
specifically
1300s,
oil
1400s.
painting, but I'm saying original art
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a comforting thought for
Yeah.
artists.
But the thing is, though, humanity has never progressed as quickly as it has now. Like, it's like that inflection. We hit that inflection point when the internet was created. Or honestly, when we discovered electricity, really. And then the light bulb. And then as soon as electricity was discovered and how to harness that, how to harness power, then it was like humanity hit this like beep, you know, and we're like at this brick wall. We're going straight up. And I forget what that law is. It's like every 4 years, the computer's capacities double. Or maybe it's every 2 years, it quadruples. I don't know. It's something like that. It's Moore's law. That's what it is.
I just think people are still sensitive to, like, deep down, everyone respects like that awe-inspiring feeling when you see something.
I totally agree.
And how can they have that for an AI painting?
In fact,
it's very small.
the computers might starve the public of that feeling, that when they do find it, it's like Brave New World, right? Like the people that lived on the reservations, right? That weren't that were pure and didn't have
They were called savages. In the book, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
but what was the name of that drug they were all taking? But anyway, whatever.
It's like ayahuasca. I don't know.
I don't know. No.
No, it wasn't ayahuasca.
The people in the non-awake world were.
Oh, they were calling it it was like they were going to.
The happy pill, whatever that was.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've read it so long ago.
Yeah, and then it was the people on the reservation that like had human actual interaction and relationship that was genuine.
But there was also something negative there too. I remember like someone there were some cannibals there or something. No, there was something negative okay, whatever.
Anyways.
I can't remember exactly. I need to reread it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like it'll increase the desire and the novelty and the specialness of what artists have to offer.
Yeah.
And I just know, just in my guts, that like we're in a time where there is an art renaissance, and art is more important than it's ever been, and it's more accessible, and there's more collectors than there's ever been. There's it's you know, art is it, and so I don't think that's going to go away because of AI paintings. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with digital art. Digital art's been around for a long, long time now, and it doesn't get traction. It's getting a little bit of traction with NFTs, but in a totally different way. Mm-hmm. Not in nobody collects digital art because of the connection they have with it.
If anything, well, and when you hear that someone made that digitally, it's like,
you doubt them.
That's still
doubt their
cool,
skills.
but it's not like, it feels like, anyone could do that. And that's not to throw shade at digital artists, because I know, because I've tried it, it is hard if you actually, try to paint something on, what is it called? What is that called? Procreate. Can't remember.
Yeah.
But,
But how can you... But
it's
there's all
never
these...
going to replace actual oil painting, because that takes more skill. It takes more time to acquire that than it does to learn how to do something digitally, generally.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same goes for musicians too. And I produce electronic music, like learning how to play an instrument takes a lot longer than learning how to weed through samples and manipulate audio to create something pleasant sounding. That's my confession. I need to learn how to play instruments, I guess. Okay, so last question. Will you guys be using AI to assist you, not point you in the right direction, but to assist you in creating a source? Or
I hope not.
I don't think so. I mean, not as of now, but even the way we start our paintings digitally, and we use photos and apps to create that interesting like layered effect.
Like, what if you could have AI create women for you so you never have to actually worry about someone else finding the source for you or finding the source, you know?
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe I would use it.
Yeah, I guess I'm
You're
not
torn.
gonna say no, never.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel
It goes
like,
against your goal.
yeah, it goes against something. But really like the example you gave, if I could create my own bear
Yeah.
because there's a photo generating, thing out there where I could create, the AI could create like the most optimal whatever based on what I feed it. I want a bear looking this way, doing this with this light, and then it generated a phony bear that didn't exist in real life. And I needed that because I'm not a wildlife wildlife
You don't have
painter.
access to it. So it sort of
Well, I
makes it
think that
more
would be-
accessible.
Yeah, I think that would be weird for a wildlife painter who's all about the authenticity of, really replicating a real life situation of a bear. But I'm after the symbolic meaning of a bear and something it can evoke. And if I could actually, I'm stuck having to look through the internet to find a bear that
Yeah,
comes
and if you
close
could
to what I'm
literally just
looking for.
go there,
But
save
if
so
I
much
could just
time.
go, man, I want the bear to give this thing and the light to be like that, and and then trial and error, finally I close computer, but more like this, and I could work with the computer to get exactly what I want. Then I feel like it's a tool and it's not the artist.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is when it's a utility for the artist, but then the public has to judge, is the artist ethical in the usage of that utility? Because we already have that with source photos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there like, did you take the picture? Well, and so there's a lot of that already. So I guess I would use it, but if I also felt in my heart that I'm opening Pandora's box and somehow shaking hands with the devil of some sort, then maybe I would not want to. Like if there was a danger of getting sucked into something, but I'm not going to say never, never. I'm not that religious about it.
Yeah, it's tough because and I could even see, and you could make an argument that being able to string those words together in the right way to get that image could be an art form itself. That's just an example of how well you can articulate the images within your own brain using the English language,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough. It's very nuanced.
But then it might get to the point where you get implanted with some biocomputer.
You get
You
implanted.
just like to make fun of me any chance you get.
Someone's gotta.
Okay, but I know, I never make fun of anybody.
Neuralink? Are you thinking of Neuralink?
Neuralink, yeah,
What
some
Elon
computer
Musk wants.
chip, maybe I could eat a computer pill and all of a sudden I don't have to articulate anything. I can just go, and then it'll.
And then it just reads your mind.
You wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is.
When I first started in art, I did take my own photos because I was too lazy to go to the library and use the Dewey Decimal System and go make Xerox copies of photographs of things. I only did that if it was an animal that I didn't have access to. But I tried to the easier way, or the less resistance way to create art, was sit there with my camera. I had an old Minolta, like the DSLRs now, except it didn't have the DSLR part. It was just manual.
It was just the D. There's no SLR.
Well, I don't know. It
I
was
don't know.
manual,
No,
where you
that's
had
digital.
you had to actually
Crank it.
know how to do shutter speed with exposure and match all that.
But even-
and film. And if you ask me
And you
back
couldn't see
then-
real-time feedback too, right? You
This
had to
is
guess.
an important point, you guys.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, because I'm just saying, being old has benefits. So, if you asked me when I was 18 years old, taking my photos with my Minolta camera, and you said, Ellie, in the future, 30 years from now, you're going to be sitting on your MacBook. What's a MacBook? Oh yeah, it's a laptop. What's a laptop? It's a computer
that sits on your lap.
What's a computer? We didn't have computers. We had word processors. computers were only big machines in buildings somewhere.
Yeah.
There was no personal computer. So if they said, you're going to sit there on your own personal computer that's this big and this thick, okay, and you're going to be able to scour the internet. What's the internet? And you're going to be able to like get all these pictures from all over the world, from every, nature photographer. It's like, and you can just download it. What's downloading? Okay, and you told me all this, I would have been like, that's not real art. I don't know if that's real art. That's cheating.
Yeah, times change.
So have
see
you
what I'm
already
saying?
slipped down the slippery slope?
I might have already
Well,
fallen into the
I've
rabbit hole.
already thought myself that I would like to go back to taking my own photos of sources of women.
Your recent
Well,
paintings
what about
are...
going
It feels
out in the
a
woods?
lot better.
What about going out in the woods with your plein air box and just paint from life?
Yeah.
Or what if you do it like the old school, where you just sketched people and you said, okay, move this way, move that way, and you did sketches, and based on your sketches you had to create paintings. What if we, as a challenge,
That could be
that
really
could be
cool,
a challenge
though.
that we pose to artists, and we call it like AI, war with AI.
The anti-AI.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
well, war with AI, and we run an art club challenge where you have to either paint from your imagination solely, or use sketches from real life to create epic scenes and try to paint the paintings you would normally paint, but you can't use any source photos and you can't use any technology, you can't use your camera.
They're watching it on their laptop, though. The video.
So what? That's just to
We're
get
not saying-
inspired.
We're not going to become Amish. We're not saying that.
It's just a challenge, and
It's
I
just
think
a
it's
challenge.
cool.
Because
I know.
I'm challenging myself.
Yeah.
Because you said, would you use AI? And I'm like, maybe I would.
know.
But I think I've already ingested enough blue pills that I'm already down that track. Because, like I said, when I first started, if you told me what I was doing today, I might have doubted. I might have said that's not real art. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. What do you, the viewer,
Yeah.
the artist, the person watching this, the person with their own opinions, who clearly may or may not have been triggered by anything that we said in this, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. We really want to hear what you think about this topic, because I mean, as you kind of can tell, we honestly haven't even made up our own minds. I feel like it's an ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
We'll probably not make up our own minds until it's too late. I'm just kidding. Or until AI is not even a thing on the scene anymore. I like Deirdre's outlook,
Yeah, I like the idea though of a challenge, not using any technology, just to see what happens.
Yeah, it's
It
a
might be
super cool idea.
eye-opening. Maybe I'll make a better painting. Maybe you'll make a better painting. Yeah.
And if you want to learn how to create really awesome art and compete with AI, or at least get close to the super mad skills that AI already has, and take advantage of what we believe is a market that's going to soar because of AI, because more people are actually going to be looking at art. Art's going to be in everyone's homes, and it's going to be even more valuable having a painting that was made by a person rather than a machine. So if you want to take advantage of that upcoming trend, then consider taking some of our online courses. We have so many, including a 1-year mastery program, and it teaches you everything that you need to know from oil painting and drawing and mixed media techniques, spray paint, acrylics, mark making, everything that you can possibly want to know about creating art and more, and things that you didn't even know that you wanted to create or that you wanted to learn. Take the mastery program. It's going to change your life. And if you're watching this of taking the mastery program, tell other people about it in the comments.